Hey, what up, guys? Coming to you this morning with another continuing 140-pound junior welterweight year-end top 10s. Today, this video, I'm going to be discussing numbers 2, 3, and 4 on this on the list at 140 pounds, breaking those fighters down and their year they had and what they got coming up. So let's kick it off with number 4, finishing the year number 4 in the 140-pound division for 2019, and that is former two-time world title challenger Jose Cepeda. Cepeda was not ranked coming in this year and not really even close to that. And he came out of nowhere. He got a couple knockouts in 2018, but against insignificant fighters, really. But he came out of nowhere and got an opportunity at Jose Ramirez for the WBC title in February in Ramirez's hometown of Fresno. So a lot of people, myself included, didn't think he stood a chance, but he was, trained by Freddie Roach, and Freddie Roach did wonders with Zepeda, especially since he used to be Ramirez's trainer. So coming in, Ramirez wasn't the man in the division yet, and Zepeda came out and just almost beat him. It was a good, hard-fought fight between the two. Zepeda was outworking Ramirez and outboxing him for the first half, but in the second half, Ramirez's size difference and then his pressure really won him the last couple rounds, in my opinion. And Ramirez walked out of there, though, with a close majority decision win over Cepeda. But Cepeda proved he's a legitimate fighter in the top 10. Then after he tried to come back in May, and he ended up having I think it was a 2-round no contest with some nobody over a cut. It was a 3-round no contest. Then in July is when I really ranked him high, because I ranked him better when Jose Ramirez scored the knockout win over Maurice Hooker to unify belts. That only boosted Zepeda's resume. And then Cepeda just continued to boost his resume in September when he took on former 2-division champion Jose Pedraza, who's moving up to 140. And I even called it going into the fight. I said, I think Zepeda's going to beat Pedraza. I said it. I called it. And Cepeda outboxed him cleanly and got his career best win, a 10-round unanimous decision. So, that being said, I didn't really hear nothing else in 2019 about Jose Zepeda. That was kind of the last thing. Heading into 2020, he's currently 30 years old, so he's in the prime of his career. He's got a good record, 31-2 with 25 knockouts. And his only 2 defeats were the loss to Ramirez, and then he had a loss a few years ago against Terry Flanagan for the lightweight title when he got injured in the second round. He actually got injured and had to pull out of the fight. I think it was like an elbow injury or something like that, and he had to pull out of the fight. So he never really got started, and, Flanagan didn't really beat him. He just, got the win on the record is what happened. So Zepeda really is a really talented and good fighter, and he should not be overlooked heading in. I think he's heading into 2020 kind of a high-risk, low-reward boogeyman type, because he's southpaw. He's got a slick style, boxing style, and I think guys might stay away from him, but they might not be able to. I think Cepeda needs to just keep working, keep grinding. He fought for top rank in both his fights, and I think he needs to do that again, stay with Bob Arum, and make sure he gets into some kind of an eliminator in 2020 to where he can get a world title shot, because he's right here, and he earned it in 2019. Dominating Pedraza, who was a solid former 2-division champion, who just won 12 rounds with Vasily Lomachenko at the end of 2018, and then a good, strong performance against a guy that people are arguing as number 1 in the division. I thought it was a great performance. So good year for Pedraza, and for Zepeda, and I hope he capitalizes on it in 2020 and gets an opportunity at least to get into a world title shot. So we'll see. Next up, and finishing the year number 3 at 140 is Regis Progre, the former WBA champion. He entered 2019 undefeated. He was number 2 originally, or he was number 3 originally, so he actually finishes in the same spot. And he entered the year number 1 in the World Boxing Super Series tournament as the number 1 seed. He was getting an opportunity to challenge for that title, or to challenge for his first world title in the semifinals. He's coming off a great year in 2018, though, when he knocked out Julius Ndongo, the former unified champ. He knocked him out in only 2 rounds. And then he followed that up in the World Boxing Super Series quarterfinals, dominating Terry Flanagan, former lightweight champ, over 12 rounds. So heading into 2020, it was just the sky's the limit. And in April, he got an opportunity at his first world title in the semifinals of the World Boxing Super Series tournament. Challenged Kira Relic, tough veteran champion, and he knocked his ass out easily too. Just totally broke him down and knocked him out in 6 rounds, and punched his ticket to the finals of the tournament, where he would face Josh Taylor in a unification bout for the WBA and IBF belts in the finals. I mean, 2 undefeated champions. He went over to the United Kingdom to fight Taylor, and he didn't have to fight in Ireland or Scotland, whatever country Taylor's from, but he did fight in England, which is pretty much a home fight. He went over there and he fought his ass off. It was a really good, close fight in the finals. But Taylor did a little more and outworked him a little more, and Taylor walked away with a majority decision. Tough loss for Progre. It was his first loss. He lost his world title, but he didn't get knocked out. He didn't get dominated like some people thought he was going to, and he's not overrated like some people think he is. He's a very talented fighter, and 2020, I think he's going to have opportunities. I really do. But I think he just needs to stay busy. I think he needs to get back in the ring quick, take on a guy like Pablo Cesar Cano next, knock his ass out, get a good knockout win, get that confidence roaring again, and then work your way into, if a rematch is possible, Jose Ramirez, or get an eliminator. Make sure you're right there for somebody towards the end of the year, and you're challenging for a world title. Because I really think Progre, I think this win might just make him better. He's 30 years old. You know, so he's kind of in his physical prime. He's 24-1 with 20 knockouts. He can box, and he definitely has a mean punch. So I think with opportunity, he's going to have a good chance to do some damage. And I really hope he just works himself into that opportunity, because he's got a good name. He's a popular fighter, so I think he will get opportunity. But I would take whatever I get right now. But, you know, get in there, take, like I said, guys like Pablo Cesar Cano, guys like that is what Progre needs to do. But don't miss this guy fight. He's very good, and I think he could be at the top of the division by the end of the year. So we'll see. Now, last on this video, finishing the year number 2, is the undefeated WBC and WBO unified junior welterweight champion, Jose Ramirez, of Fresno, California right here. You know, Ramirez entered the year number 7. He was the WBC champion and undefeated coming in, but he hadn't really taken that next step to where people were considering him a top dog at 140 yet. He did have a strap. He beat Amir Imam for that belt, which it was a nice win, but it was kind of like, okay, Amir Imam's not huge. Then he struggled a little bit with Antonio Orozco, even though he got a clear decision. He didn't knock Orozco out in 2018. So coming into 2019, he wasn't in the World Boxing Super Series tournament. So he was kind of him and Maurice Hooker were kind of the forgotten guys. But Top Rank and Matchroom came together. Well, first he had a tough fight with Jose Cepeda in February, which only made people wonder even more, is Ramirez really that good? Or is he just a belt holder? And the question was out there because he barely beat Zepeda, who wasn't a big name at the time, by a majority decision. You know, so there was doubt there about Jose Ramirez. Then Top Rank and Matchroom came together to make a unification bout on DAZN, and Ramirez went over to DAZN to fight Maurice Hooker for the WB to unify belts. This was the biggest fight that could be made for guys that didn't make the tournament. They weren't in the tournament, and they made it, and they crossed the street to do it. Bob Arum gave up Top Rank and ESPN to go to Matchroom to make it happen. So that was a big deal. And Jose Ramirez passed the fucking test with flying colors. It was a great fight with Hooker, who is another undefeated champion. They went toe-to-toe. Good, hard-fought battle. But he grinded, stopped Hooker in the 6th round with great combination, and scored his career best win, and now has 2 of the 4 titles in this division. He is, right now, he's a shutdown number 2. You can argue him number 1. I almost ranked him as a co-number one with Josh Taylor, or with the number one. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I should have, you know, with the number one fighter. But just a little slight under the number one guy, but Ramirez is right there. He's got another opportunity to be honest, if he's facing Victor Postal coming into this year. He's facing Victor Postal February 1st. Ramirez is now 27 years old, so still very young. 25-0 with 17 knockouts. Coming into his own, like really coming into his own. And he's got an opportunity now against Victor Postal. You know, and to be honest, if he comes out and he dominates Victor Postal, like impressively, and knocks him out or just dominates him in general, I think I'm going to move him to number one ahead of Taylor ahead of the number one because of, and you guys know it's Josh Taylor now, but because Taylor beat Postal in 2018, he didn't blow him out, and he was at home. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this fight between Ramirez and Victor Postal. I think it's going to be a good one, and Ramirez is must-see. You got to watch him. Top rank ESPN, February 1st. He's defending those two belts against his mandatory Victor Postal. If he beats him, I think it's possible towards the end of the year Ramirez could face one of two big fights. If he does not get an undisputed title fight with Josh Taylor that he wants, I think it's very possible if Terrence Crawford is still looking for opponents that he can move up and fight Terrence Crawford at 147 pounds for the welterweight title. We got to wait and see, but I'm a big fan of Jose Ramirez, and I can't wait to see him fight again. I hope it's in Fresno, that I can check him out again. I know the next fight isn't, but I hope he does come back to Fresno and fight again, because I was there earlier in the year, even though it wasn't his fight, but he's got a following, and I can't wait to see him fight again, so we'll see what happens. All right, guys, that's it. Jose Ramirez, number 2, Regis Progre, number 3, and Jose Cepeda, number 4. Hope you enjoyed it. Year-end top 10, 140-pound junior welterweight division, 2019. True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.